Welcome everybody to another Mr. Thankful 9000 video, and today I'm going to talk about trains. Now, for those of you who didn't watch my last video was talking about oil, because I'm a true American and I'm always thankful for oil. But anyways, I wanted to talk about railroads, specifically because, well, they, they just move a lot of stuff around. They move a lot more stuff around than people think. So according to infrastructurereportcard.org, U.S. railroads haul about 1.5 billion, that's right, billion with a B, tons of freight every year. And between the top six largest railroads in the U.S., there's around 92,000 route miles. So they move a lot of stuff, and they move a lot of stuff all the time. And it's hard to explain just how much stuff they really are responsible for moving around. I mean, you can't there's not enough trucks to replace the trains. If railroads went away tomorrow, a lot of things would grind to a halt. Everything from automobiles to chemicals to grain, and even things like, oh, what if I get it from overseas? Guess what? Have you ever seen those trains with the two shipping containers stacked on top of each other? If you haven't, there's a lot of them that run around every single day, and they move a lot of stuff around. Some of them are actually moving stuff around at a faster rate than the trucks do. The high priority intermodal trains are definitely a very cool feature. In fact, the Santa Fe Railroad back in the late 60s, early 70s, I believe, was the first. They were the first railroad to really offer hotshot service, and to give you an idea of how competitive it was, they won contracts from the U.S. Postal Service, and they were able to ship things between Chicago and Los Angeles either direction in 50 hours or less. And keep in mind, that's when shipping things by plane for, 2 day shipping was just starting to become a thing. So it hadn't really been perfected yet, and that was an amazing service for them to offer at the time. Nothing could really compete with that. I mean, yeah, a trucker could sit there and drive, a whole bunch illegally and maybe compete with it, but there was no legal competition really for that. And there were times apparently where they were well, I guess the railroads so some of the railroads broke the rules a little. They weren't trying to on purpose, but some of the engineers driving the trains would actually, yeah, they would shave quite a few hours off of that 50-hour mark promise. I don't remember what the record is, but basically there were some sections where the track speed was only supposed to be 70 and they were doing 90 because it was nice and flat and straight stretches of track, so they were just moving as fast as they could. But anyways, it you know railroads are kind of the original fast transportation. In fact, there's an area where I live where an old railroad used to be. It's gone, like a lot of railroads from past years. But to give you an idea, in order to get from this main town where I live to another area, it would take almost all day on horseback. Now, of course, why am I mentioning horseback? Well, think about the time that railroads kind of started coming into existence and really being a thing, the 1800s. You got to realize that a train trip would only take 4 hours over that same distance, compared to horses needing all day, and you had the rest of the horses halfway through. Whereas you could get to your destination in 4 hours, do stuff, and then go back in 4 hours. You go to a town and back in the same day, whereas before with horses it would be a 2 day thing. I mean, you can't compete with that. It's I guess you'll see a pretty good example of that here in a minute as I play Minecraft, but it's essentially the same thing as like, it's not that much of a difference. It's going to be the difference of me running in the overworld like this versus running in the nether. It's just faster. It's just way more efficient, and there's just no there's no way around that fact. Now, of course, we've got airplanes that can get you places really fast, and of course, we got vehicles which you can drive however much you want. Some people are crazy and they will drive like 20 hours straight to get somewhere just because they don't want to stop. I am not that type of person. I can drive for long periods of time, but not like 20 hours. Okay, I could never be one of those be one of those like cattle truckers where they basically don't stop from where they're delivering to their destination. I couldn't do that, but anyways. Yeah, so railroads are kind of like the OG fast form of transportation, and with so many route miles in the US, they're just so good at. Oh, there was a wandering trader here. Anyway, so I'm getting distracted by Minecraft. That's pretty typical of my videos, though. Trains just haul so much stuff. The food that you eat every day can come by rail. A lot of the overseas stuff comes by rail. A lot of raw materials, a lot of manufactured materials. Heck, even oil is shipped by rail. It's not just pipelines. It's not just trucks. They move it by rail as well because it's just the rail infrastructure's there, and if they need to move it between refineries, they can decide, yeah, we want to move a bunch, and then the refinery is like, nah, we're gonna hold off a while. They can, and then they didn't have to just spend a ton of money on a pipeline that they then don't use very much. I'm looking at you, Alaska Pipeline. Anyways, now the Alaska Pipeline could probably be utilized more, but that's something I should have put in the oil video and not a video talking about trains. So, anyways, back to trains because I can. They're very efficient as well. So, on average, a train could move 1 ton of freight on 1 gallon of diesel fuel 500 miles. Yeah, trucks aren't that efficient. Planes are definitely not that efficient. Boats might technically be a little more efficient. I'm actually not sure what the stats are on that, but I don't think it's as far as things that burn fossil fuels, shipping things goes, rail is definitely the way to go, and that voice crack was awful. Wow. I swear I'm 25, guys. Anyways, one of the things that kind of gets me is there's places where people are like, oh, we don't want this rail infrastructure in here, and um, there was a bridge that was built a few years ago now. There's a place called Sandpoint, Idaho. It was built over a giant lake, basically, and there were several environmental groups that said, we don't want this, and da 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 da. And the thing is, like, okay, I understand you don't want them to mess that up. Like, I'm, I'm for that aspect of it, but they were just like, no, we just don't want it at all. And I'm going, well, you do realize how stuff gets on your store shelves, right? You realize how we ship a lot of things back and forth from overseas to here. It's a lot of that is done by rail. A lot of it, rail and I guess rail and ships. Okay, there's contrary to the rumors, there's not a railroad bridge over the ocean shipping things directly from China to the U.S. That's not a thing. There are boats in the middle or planes. So yeah, no, trains aren't the end all be all, but I mean, come on, they ship so much stuff. You're not gonna just casually, you're not just gonna casually get away from them. That's just not a thing. I guess that's kind of a theme of my channel overall, is like, yeah, certain things in modernity could be more efficient, but like, do you got a better alternative? I didn't think so. So I'll wait. I'll make a video on better alternatives if and when they come out. But yeah, no, this group opposed the bridge for a while. It did eventually go in. It was ruled that it was essentially too important not to go in, which I feel like is definitely the correct decision there because, I mean, why are you gonna why are you gonna block progress on something that is part of a vital rail corridor? But I'm getting a little bit distracted from my main overall point, which is just how useful trains are. A lot. That's pretty much the gist of it. Now, to get into a little more detail on that, to get into a little bit more detail on that, I think I need to. I mean, I've already put into perspective just how much stuff is moved by rail already, but I think maybe an even better way to think about it is there are certain things that practically can only move by rail. And here's what I mean. If you have a 15,000 ton coal train that needs to move to a power plant somewhere, or a roughly similar tonnage amount of grain that you want to ship overseas, are you really going to ship all that by truck? I mean, it's going to take a lot of fuel to move the coal to get to where it needs to go, or grain where needs to go. It's already less efficient moving it by truck. And come on, if you're crazy enough to ship 15,000 tons of coal or grain by plane, mad respect, but that's going to cost a lot of money and a lot of fuel. So, good luck with that there. And I'm going to stick to trains because it just makes more sense. Now, where do I put these arrows? I'm getting distracted. Now again, there's a practical sense in which railroads just do certain things a lot better. It's not even close. It's just not even close. Do 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 do. I mean, if you want another fun little example, certain things of agriculture, like apples, can be shipped from places like Everett, Washington, around to the rest of the country and even the world by rail. In fact, it was done that way for many years. It may actually still be done that way, to my knowledge now. And that's the thing. How do you can't can't compete with that level of innovation? So I've been doing some stuff off camera, if you couldn't tell. There we go. That's the map that I want. Now, unfortunately, well, there is one railroad thing. What? Oh, I'm dumb. These are these are backwards. Like I said before, I'm a professional Minecrafter who knows what I'm doing. I swear. Now, unfortunately, I build roads in Minecraft, but that's only because there was a time when horses travel could be faster before they patched the glitch of making horses really, really fast. So there's a potential that the roads I'm making now could just legitimately all be turned into rail infrastructure at some point. Because, hey, you sit there and you don't gotta drive. Someone else is doing that for you. It's pretty nice, and I actually have taken the train before. I don't live in like a big city where there's like metro or anything, so it's a little different for me. But I have taken the train before, and it is quite nice. Just sit and relax. So there's definitely some advantages to it. Um, But yeah, a lot of stuff is moved by rail. There's kind of been a historical advantage that rail has given us. In fact, if you look at US history, because we're able to move so much stuff by rail, we kind of were able to manufacture things wherever, and as a result of that, we could ship things back and forth so that the manufacturing plants could always be essentially supplied enough raw materials from mines that might have been, in some cases thousands of miles away, and we could actually do all that because we had the rail infrastructure. Now, of course, when roads came in, like, yeah, you can ship certain things by road, and like there are places where, hey, we have the factory and the mine are right here, but that there's not a lot of places where it's that way. Usually you got to ship it. And again, rail was the way for many years, and the rail still kind of is the way for a lot of bulk shipments that exist now. Um, so I guess another little tangent I am going to go on for at least a little bit here is, oops, apparently I can't use my keys, guys. I'm, ugh, anyways. Another kind of little anecdote to put railroads into perspective is this. If you didn't have railroads, you wouldn't have the modern world, basically. And of course, it's like, oh, but didn't you say electricity and oil? Yes, those are very helpful. But before the automobile, before the airplane, before, before the light bulb, there was the iron horse. That's what they called steam locomotives. It was powered by steam. That's how trains originally operated. Now, of course, a lot of it is powered by diesel. There are some places where it's purely electric. Amtrak's corridor in the Northeast is purely electric. It's kind of cool. But, places like that, it's not the most... What is the middle of the road here? All right. I need to redo parts of this road because it's not up to road code. I will probably, honestly, make an entire episode just about roads. In fact, that'll probably be my next episode now that I'm thinking about it. So if you're watching in this part of the video, comment the timestamp and roads. I want to see it. I want to see how many of you are paying attention. But anyways, I digress on my road tangent. We wouldn't have a lot of things. Yes, you can still transport stuff without rail, but it's a lot less efficient. It's a lot harder. And also, I saw a meme the other day that kind of encapsulates just how good railroads are. So someone's like, yeah, we want to make like electric vehicles standard. And they're like, well, we don't want to really have to stop for like electricity to recharge the batteries. Oh, okay, well, we'll make it so that there's a charging lane that you go down. And the tech bros are like, oh yeah, we'll just make it so it's like you drive in the specific lane and your vehicle charges and then you can get back out of that lane. They're like, no, what if we just make it so it charges all the time? They're like, yes, but how are we going to do that? How are we going to make a charging lane? They're like, oh yeah, just have it be metal, like have it drive over a metal lane. And they're like, well, what if we made it so that it was steel wheels contacting steel so that it was, actually the most efficient like transfer of electricity. Oh, okay, that's cool. That's cool. Let's do that. Well, what if we make it two wheels on two steel rails? Guys, we made this already. It's called a train. Why do tech bros gotta reinvent everything that's already been made, but somehow have the longer, worse process of doing it? We already have it, guys. Stop. Stop doing this nonsense. But seriously, why do tech bros do that, man? They always gotta like reinvent the wheel, and it's like, come on, we already have a decent version of this. Now, the only rail infrastructure I have in this world is actually right here. You're looking at it. This is it. This was built in the really, really early days of the world. It was actually in the first 200 days. And like in real life, we had primitive technology when we first made it. We literally dug this with stone pickaxes. We dug with stone pickaxes. That's kind of ridiculous, so we did that. But yeah, we did it because we're crazy. And it worked out. Because we dug this way, we were able to find that mountain hole. And it's really pretty and it's nice, and I was able to do, the first bridge project, which you've seen, and I'm currently been walking over the second bridge project, which you've also seen now in a couple of videos. I mean, come on, see? Railroads are even useful in Minecraft. No, but anyways, this is really nice because I can just talk. I don't actually have to think while I'm doing this. That's probably the best way for me to do commentary, honestly. In fact, there's a chance that I'm not really going to be playing a lot of Minecraft. I'm just going to be talking, which does make me wonder if Minecraft is actually like the future of like my channel, or if I'm just gonna rant about whatever for a while. I feel like just ranting about whatever for a while might be a little more fun. I guess I could put it over some Minecraft gameplay. It'd give me an excuse, and then I could technically get paid to play Minecraft, which would be pretty funny, so. Anyways, all that aside, I was thinking this was going to be a really, really long video, and actually I feel like I'm dragging it out almost too long right now, and I sort of don't like doing that, but I guess the one final thing about railroads that I'll mention is that they're going to be here for a while, and I think that it would behoove us to not just take them for granted as much as we have. I mean, come on, how are you going to employ people like me who randomly talk about them all the time? It's just like, come on. You gotta give me a bone here. No, but I am serious in the fact that railroads are definitely very responsible for the success of the modern world. I mean, come on, Europe has railroads as well, and in fact, there's a somewhere over there. I think it's over 10 miles of a railroad tunnel that they dug through a mountain just because it's way faster, and as a result, they can move a lot of heavy stuff through mountains, not just over them, literally through them. I mean, railroads are pretty cool in that, and I honestly, it's cool to see the innovations they've come up with over the years to sort of make their infrastructure better, but I think that I could probably rant about railroad infrastructure so long that it should be its own video, and I don't want this video to be terribly, terribly long, so I will probably end it right about here as soon as I'm done chopping these trees, because I'm just obsessive like that. Like I said, I need to update my road code. But anyways, I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching a Mr. Thankful 9000 video. Next week I'm going to talk about roads instead of trains, but if you want the really, really long version of all the things I know about trains, which is way more than I care to admit here on camera, leave a like and a comment down below saying we want the train video. But as always, I want to say thank you for watching and stay thankful.